Poor waitress kisses handsome billionaire on blind date, please pretend you're my husband tonight. The moment their lips touched, Emma knew she'd made a terrible mistake. This wasn't just any customer she'd impulsively kissed, this was Liam Blackwood, the notorious billionaire whose face graced every business magazine in the country. And now his ice-blue eyes were locked on hers with an intensity that made her knees weak. What Emma didn't know was that this desperate charade would change both their lives forever. Emma Tucker wiped her sweaty palms on her worn uniform as she balanced 3 plates of steaming food. 6 hours into her double shift at Rosie's Diner, her feet were screaming and her smile was wearing thin. At 26, this wasn't where she'd imagined herself, serving pancakes instead of finishing medical school. But life had other plans when her mom's cancer diagnosis drained their savings and crushed her dreams. Order up for table 7. Jerry, the cook, shouted over the sizzle of the grill. Emma nodded, expertly weaving between tables in the crowded diner. That's when she spotted him, her ex-fiancé Derek, sitting with his new girlfriend, the same woman he'd cheated with while Emma was caring for her dying mother. The diamond on the woman's finger caught the light, nearly blinding Emma. An engagement ring. It had been only 3 months since their breakup. Her hands trembled as she delivered the food to a nearby table. She couldn't face Derek, not today of all days, the anniversary of her mother's death. As she turned to retreat to the kitchen, Derek's voice called out. "Emma? Is that you?" She froze, feeling dozens of eyes on her. Derek was standing now, his arm wrapped possessively around his fiancée's waist. The pity in his eyes was worse than any insult. "I heard you're still waiting tables," he said, his voice carrying across the diner. "Guess medical school didn't work out after all, huh?" The diner fell silent. Emma felt her chest tighten as humiliation washed over her. That's when she spotted him, a stranger sitting alone at the corner booth. Tall, dark-haired, impossibly handsome in an expensive suit that screamed money. He was watching the scene unfold with curious eyes. In a moment of pure desperation, Emma made a decision that would alter the course of her life. She walked straight to the stranger's table, leaned down, and whispered urgently, "Please pretend you're my husband tonight. I'll explain later." Before he could respond, she pressed her lips against his in a kiss that started as performance but quickly sparked with unexpected electricity. When she pulled away, the stranger's expression was unreadable, but something in his eyes had changed. "There you are, sweetheart," he said smoothly, his deep voice carrying a natural authority that silenced the room. "I was wondering where you'd disappeared to." Derek's jaw dropped as the handsome stranger stood, towering over everyone in the diner. He casually draped his arm around Emma's waist, his touch sending shivers down her spine. "Derek," Emma said, her voice steadier than she felt, "I'd like you to meet my husband." The stranger extended his hand. "Liam Blackwood." "Pleasure." The color drained from Derek's face. Everyone in Chicago knew the Blackwood name, the billionaire family that owned half the city's skyline. What Emma didn't realize was that Liam Blackwood had his own reasons for playing along with her charade, reasons that would soon pull her into a world of wealth, power, and danger she never imagined existed. 3 days later, Emma was still replaying the kiss in her mind when the bell above the diner door chimed. She looked up to see Liam Blackwood walking in, causing every head to turn. Gone was the tailored suit, replaced by dark jeans and a simple button-down that somehow looked more expensive than her entire wardrobe. "You've got a customer, Maggie," the other waitress whispered, nudging Emma. "And honey, he's looking at you like you're the special of the day." Emma approached his table, her heart hammering. "I didn't expect to see you again." "I didn't expect to come back," Liam replied, his voice low. "But I have a proposition for you." "I already thanked you for the other night." "I'm not here for thanks," he interrupted. "I'm here because I need a fake wife, and you've already proven you can play the part convincingly." Emma stared at him. "Excuse me?" "My grandmother is dying," Liam said bluntly. "She's the only family I have left who matters." Her last wish is to see me settled down before she goes. I've built an empire worth billions, but I can't give her the one thing she wants. So you want me to pretend to be your wife? That's crazy. I'll pay you $200,000 for 6 months of your time. Emma nearly dropped her notepad. That kind of money would clear her mother's medical debt and give her a second chance at medical school. Why me? She asked suspiciously. Liam's eyes darkened. Because when you kissed me, you made everyone in that diner believe we were in love. Including me, for a second. That's the kind of conviction I need. Emma should have said no. She should have walked away. But the memory of collection notices piling up on her kitchen table made her hesitate. I'll need to think about it. Liam slid a business card across the table. You have until tomorrow. After that, I'll find someone else. As he stood to leave, he leaned close to her ear. By the way, your ex-fiancé is a fool. Remember that when you make your decision. What Emma didn't know was that Liam's grandmother wasn't the only reason he needed a wife. The truth was far more complicated, and dangerous, than she could imagine. Emma's apartment building was in one of Chicago's forgotten neighborhoods, where sirens were lullabies and locks were prayers. She climbed the 4 flights of stairs, the elevator had been, temporarily out of order, for 3 years, and fumbled for her keys. When she opened her door, she froze. Her landlord, Mr. Gaines, was standing in her living room with 2 men in cheap suits. Miss Tucker, Mr. Gaines said, not meeting her eyes. These gentlemen are here about your mother's medical debt. One of the men stepped forward. Emma Tucker? I'm from Midwest Collections. You're 3 months behind on payments. We're here to discuss asset seizure. Emma clutched her purse where Liam's business card burned a hole in her wallet. I just need more time. Time's up, the collector said coldly. You have 48 hours to come up with $15,000, or we'll be forced to take legal action. After they left, Emma sank to the floor, tears streaming down her face. She pulled out Liam's card, staring at the embossed letters that seemed to offer salvation and damnation in equal measure. With shaking hands, she dialed the number. Mr. Blackwood's office, a crisp voice answered. This is Emma Tucker. I'd like to speak with Liam, please. There was a pause. 1 moment, Miss Tucker. Seconds later, Liam's voice filled her ear. You've made your decision. It wasn't a question. Yes, Emma whispered. I'll do it. What she couldn't have known was that across town, Liam was standing at his penthouse window, looking out at the city he owned while Victor Chambers, his business rival and sworn enemy, was plotting his downfall, and Emma had just placed herself directly in the crosshairs. 2 weeks later, Emma found herself living in Liam's penthouse, wearing clothes that cost more than her yearly salary, and preparing to meet his dying grandmother at the Blackwood estate. The transformation from waitress to billionaire's wife had been dizzying. Remember, Liam said as their car approached the mansion, we met 6 months ago at a charity gala. It was love at first sight. We married in a private ceremony in Santorini last month. Emma nodded, rehearsing the story they'd crafted. And I'm finishing medical school, taking time off to be with your grandmother. Exactly. Liam's eyes softened slightly. Thank you for doing this. It means more than you know. When they entered the grand foyer of the Blackwood estate, Emma felt like she'd stepped into another world. Marble floors, priceless art, and generations of wealth surrounded her. But nothing prepared her for Eleanor Blackwood. The elderly woman sat regally in her wheelchair, her silver hair perfectly coiffed, her eyes sharp despite her failing health. Those eyes, the same ice blue as Liam's, assessed Emma with unsettling precision. So, Eleanor said, her voice stronger than her frail body suggested, you're the woman who captured my grandson's heart when no one else could. Emma felt Liam tense beside her. This wasn't just about making his grandmother happy. There was something else at stake, something he wasn't telling her. I'm very fortunate, Mrs. Blackwood, Emma replied, taking the older woman's hand gently. Eleanor's grip tightened suddenly. Call me Eleanor, dear. After all, you're family now. Her eyes narrowed. Or are you? The room fell silent. Emma felt a chill run down her spine as Eleanor's gaze pierced through her. Grandmother, Liam began. Don't grandmother me, Liam, Eleanor cut him off. Do you think I've lived this long without learning to spot a lie? She turned back to Emma. The question is, why is my grandson paying you to pretend to be his wife? Emma's blood ran cold. Their carefully constructed charade was collapsing before it had even begun. But before either could respond, the double doors to the sitting room burst open. A man in an expensive suit strode in, flanked by 2 security guards. I hope I'm not interrupting a family moment, the man said, his smile not reaching his eyes. Victor, Liam growled, stepping protectively in front of Emma. You're not welcome here. Eleanor's face hardened. Victor Chambers. Still trying to steal what isn't yours, I see. Victor's gaze landed on Emma, his expression calculating. And who's this lovely creature? Your latest distraction, Liam. His wife, Emma said firmly, stepping forward and taking Liam's hand. Something in Victor's eyes made her instinctively want to protect Liam, despite barely knowing him. Victor laughed. Wife? How convenient, just as the board is deciding on succession. He turned to Eleanor. You should know, Eleanor, your grandson's company is about to face the biggest hostile takeover in Chicago's history. By this time next month, the Blackwood empire will be mine. As Victor left, Emma realized she'd stepped into something far more complicated than a simple deception. The stakes weren't just about making an old woman happy, they were about power, legacy, and survival. That night, as Emma prepared for bed in her separate room in Liam's penthouse, she heard a crash from his study. She found him surrounded by scattered papers, a glass of whiskey in hand. What's really going on, Liam? She demanded. This isn't just about your grandmother, is it? Liam looked up, his eyes haunted. My father built this company from nothing. Victor Chambers has been trying to take it for years. When my father died, the board inserted a morality clause in the succession plan. If I want to maintain control, I need to project stability. And a wife provides that image, Emma finished. Yes. Liam ran a hand through his hair. My grandmother saw through us immediately. She always does. Then we'll have to make it more convincing, Emma said, surprising herself with her determination. Liam studied her. Why do you care? Because I made a deal, she replied. And because I know what it's like to lose everything that matters. What Emma didn't say was that something else was happening, something neither of them had anticipated. Behind the pretense, real feelings were beginning to take root, dangerous and undeniable. As the weeks passed, their performance became increasingly convincing. They attended charity galas, board meetings, and family dinners. Emma visited Eleanor regularly, forming a genuine bond with the sharp-witted old woman who seemed to see right through her. And every night, Emma and Liam returned to the penthouse, to their separate rooms, with the growing weight of unspoken feelings between them. Until the night everything changed. Victor Chambers had planted a story in the financial press questioning the legitimacy of Liam and Emma's marriage. The board was wavering. The empire Liam had fought to protect was slipping through his fingers. Emma found him on the penthouse balcony, staring out at the city lights. I'm sorry, she said softly. This is my fault. I wasn't convincing enough. Liam turned to her, his expression raw with emotion she'd never seen before. None of this is your fault, Emma. You've been perfect. Then why are you looking at me like that? Because, he said, his voice rough, I'm not pretending anymore. The kiss that followed wasn't like their first, a performance for an audience. This was real, electric, and terrifying in its intensity. When they finally broke apart, Emma knew there was no going back. "I think I'm falling in love with you," she whispered. "And it scares me to death." Liam's hands framed her face. "I've been falling since the moment you walked up to my table and asked me to be your husband." That night, they crossed a line that changed everything. And in the morning, as Emma lay in Liam's arms, she realized that what had begun as a business arrangement had become the most real thing in her life. What she didn't know was that Victor Chambers had discovered her past, the medical school dropout, the debt, the desperation that had led her to Liam. And he was about to use it to destroy them both. The truth came out at Eleanor's birthday celebration. Victor arrived uninvited, with reporters in tow. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced to the gathered crowd of Chicago's elite, "I think you should all know that the touching love story of Liam Blackwood and his bride is nothing but a sham. Emma Tucker is a waitress Liam hired to fool his grandmother and secure his position." The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Eleanor's face went pale. "Is this true?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Emma looked at Liam, then at the woman who had become like family to her. "Yes," she admitted. "It started that way." Eleanor closed her eyes, pain etched across her face. "But that's not how it ended," Emma continued, her voice growing stronger. "What began as pretense became real. I love your grandson, Eleanor. Not his money, not his name, him." She turned to Liam, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry. I know this ruins everything." But instead of anger, Liam's face showed only determination. He took her hand and faced the crowd. "Yes, Emma and I had an arrangement," he announced. "But somewhere along the way, it became the most honest thing in my life." He turned to Victor. "You thought exposing us would destroy me. Instead, you freed me." He dropped to one knee before Emma, pulling a small box from his pocket. "Emma Tucker, will you marry me? For real this time?" The room held its breath. Emma looked down at the man who had changed her life, the man she'd come to love despite every reason not to. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes." As Liam slipped the ring on her finger, Eleanor's voice cut through the silence. "Victor," she called, her strength returning, "you might want to read the succession clause more carefully. It doesn't require Liam to be married, only to find someone who loves him for himself, not his fortune." Her eyes twinkled. "And it seems he's done exactly that." 6 months later, Emma walked down the aisle toward Liam, no longer pretending. Eleanor watched from the front row, her health improved by the joy of seeing her grandson truly happy. And as they spoke their vows, real vows this time, Emma realized that sometimes the greatest love stories begin with a desperate lie and a kiss between strangers. If you enjoyed this emotional journey, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories that remind us love can find us in the most unexpected places. From which country are you watching? Let us know in the comments below.